What's going on, everyone? John Rettinger from TechnoBuffalo here. We've had the Galaxy S6 and the Galaxy S6 Edge for a little over 24 hours. Not enough time for a review, but plenty of time to sort of share my thoughts on it. So I'm going to call this a mini review. We're going to talk about things that I've noticed, things that I want to test further, and a lot of things in between. So talk about design, build quality, Touchwiz, all the questions that you had and that I know I had before I got my hands on these phones. So let's talk about the design of both. I've been admittedly very hard on Samsung in the past for their build quality. Whether it's been use of cheap plastics or bendy plastics, no longer the issue here. These phones look and feel very, very premium. It's hard to tell from the pictures and videos you might have seen from Mobile World Congress, but the glass back and the glass front do look very, very nice. A bit reminiscent of the LG built Nexus 4 and certainly the iPhone 4, but they have a nice quality to them. I really like the aluminum also on the sides of the Galaxy S6. When you pick it up first thing in the morning, it feels cold and it's sort of a neat feel to have. So from a design standpoint, I think Samsung is definitely heading in the right direction. The other big gripe that I know that we've shared is Touchwiz. I hated the bleeps and bloops. It was incredibly bloated, like me after Thanksgiving dinner or the Super Bowl. Thought the icons were kind of ugly. Touchwiz here looks to be completely redone. So 40% lighter is certainly nice. There's way less apps installed. But now it's actually useful. They're not trying to teach me how to wave my hand over the phone to answer it. They sort of give you the features they think you're gonna need the most. And if you want more, you can download them from the Galaxy Store if you choose to, but they're not forcing you to. You can hide the apps that you don't wanna have. The Touchwiz editions I do think are very nice. I still don't like the way the colors look on it, but now there's a theming engine built in without having to download a third-party launcher. And I will say, having said all this about how much better I think Touchwiz is, I'm still running Nova Launcher, but I guess that's the beauty of Android. You can customize it any way you want. The previous fingerprint sensors that Samsung's had, you had to sort of swipe your finger over it, and it never worked really well. This implementation where you just sort of put your finger over it works very, very, very well. It's on par with the new Touch ID in the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. Setup takes a surprisingly long time. You got to keep pouting your finger over it. Once you get it set up, it works and works really well. Another feature Samsung is really touting is the double tap to launch a camera, and that does launch the camera really quickly. I want to test the camera a bit more. It seemed to have a kind of a slower shutter speed. I was trying to take pictures of my son. We're going to upload a gallery of pictures from these phones. And by the time he would take the shot, he would have already moved, so I ended up with sort of like blurry ghost face of him. So I want to test that a little bit more before I comment on the camera. I do really like the design, as I mentioned, but still, camera hump. I don't like camera hump. Go far, far, far away, camera hump. Also, let's talk about the screens here. I've tested a lot of phones with a lot of screens, and I can unequivocally say these are the best screens I have ever seen on a phone. Colors do look a little oversaturated, I get that, but this screen looks awesome. You know, sometimes when you get a phone, there's like a sticker over it that has like a picture of what the UI is gonna look like. The whole screen looks like a sticker. It almost doesn't even look real. It is incredibly high quality. So one question that I had about the Galaxy S6 Edge came from the Galaxy Note Edge. The Edge side on the Note was its own screen, so you sort of lost a little bit of screen real estate. Here on the S6 Edge, it's one continuous screen, so whatever you're watching, whether it's text or a video, does indeed wrap around. And speaking of the Edge, if you want to use a third-party launcher, this is kind of a fun fact, all the Edge features will still work with a third-party launcher. So I will say out of the two, I think the S6 Edge looks cooler, but I don't know how useful the Edge is gonna be yet. I mean, so let me ask you this. What are you more likely to do to check the time on your phone? Go like this? And wait for it to show up, or just go like this and just be like, oh, it's 9:48. That's probably more likely what I'm gonna do. Being able to flip it over and see the color show up, people are calling you, is a neat feature too. I don't know how much I would use it. It definitely looks really cool though. So I was talking to the guys in the office here, and I think this is what it boiled down to, at least for me. If somebody handed me both phones and said, John, here's a Galaxy S6 and a Galaxy S6 Edge, they're free to you, pick the one that you want to use, I'd pick the Edge. But if I was buying one and I had to put my own money behind it and there was a $100 price difference between the two, I think I'd just go for the Galaxy S6. It looks really cool in its own right. It doesn't have that sort of wow factor, I guess, that the two curved sides of the Edge has, but still does exactly the same thing. So I want to test whether or not the Edge features are going to be worth that extra money, because I know you guys probably have that question too. But I can say first impressions, I would happily use these phones. The screen is awesome. The phone looks ridiculously powerful. I've seen no lag at all, and I haven't run any benchmarks on it. Again, I still want to test how the UI is going to perform over different stresses that we do. I want to test battery life. I will say though, for battery, I've got a powered USB hub at my desk, and I plugged the S6 Edge in yesterday with around 22% battery life. 45 minutes later, it was up to almost 90%, so it does charge insanely fast. Didn't charge that fast wirelessly, and of course wireless charging is built in with pretty much every standard, so if you got a charging pad, you can just throw it on it and charge. It did get a little warm though while doing the wireless charging, so I want to keep testing that. The speakers on the bottom sound pretty solid, although I did find when I was watching video, I'll just use the S6 Edge here, I kind of held it like this. It's sort of where I would go to hold it, and my fingers were blocking the speaker, but I can probably hold it the other direction and that'll go away, so I want to keep testing that as well. My big questions that I had going in, and I want to sort of boil this down for you. Build quality is awesome. Touchwiz is infinitely better here. So if you're sort of nervous about both of those, I don't think you really have to be anymore. Sure, I would have liked expandable storage and I would have liked to have had a removable battery, but that's not here. You know that going in. So don't consider these phones if you don't think you're gonna be able to live with the 3264 or 128 gig configurations. Know all of that going in. But both of these phones seem really nice so far, and I think I could see myself using both of these for the long term. In fact, after first impressions, I think I would probably happily sign a contract to use one of these phones. Whether or not you want to spend the extra money for the Edge is going to be up to you. Anything else you guys want to see us test in the full review, let us know and put it down below. Make sure we go over it in more depth. I just want to share my first impressions. And of course, check out TechnoBuffalo.com and hit the big subscribe button to get the videos as they come to you. We're going to have a lot more coverage of these phones, including gallery tests, stress tests, and battery tests, and everything in between that we can possibly test and benchmark for you. Give the video a thumbs up. You always appreciate it. Until next time, I'm John Rettinger from TechnoBuffalo. See you guys in the next one.